Hey guys, thanks so much for checking out this video. This is really kind of part 2 to our first Q&A video, but it was pretty long. Ariel says mostly because I started really talking. But in this video, we talk about how we date each other with having so many kids and why our marriage is a priority over our kids. And so I hope you enjoy the video. Give it a big thumbs up for us. We thank you so much for checking it out. Have an awesome day. Last question for this video is from one of your Instagram followers. And how do you, talking to us, how do you get time together as a couple? And before we answer that question, you posted something, I think it was this week, maybe last week, about how God is the first relationship, the first priority for you and for me. But then our second priority is to each other and then to our kids. And that was kind of, you were maybe even a little bit surprised at how many people like totally disagreed with you and thought that their kids should be the priority over the spouse. And we were talking about that last night or the night before. We were getting ready for bed and we were talking about that. And she just didn't really understand that other perspective. Like, she didn't see how someone else could knowingly choose and believe that you should prioritize your kids over your spouse. And my thought on it is this: if you think that way, if you do think that way, maybe you can comment and let us know why you think that way. But right now, I just want to ask you guys to give us a thumbs up. Give us our first thumbs up on these videos. We'd really appreciate that. Here's my theory. I think that people are willing to leave their spouse, but they're not willing to leave their kids. And we look at someone society-wise, and if people get a divorce, and I'm so sorry if you've been through a divorce, that's a tragic thing. And maybe it was your fault. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe you had no control over it. Maybe you didn't want it. And so I'm not trying to bash you in saying this, but definitely our society, at least in America as a whole, downplays the value of marriage and the longevity of marriage. And so culturally, people tend to look at marriage as a contractual relationship that if it's not working out for me, I can end it at any time. But we don't look at our kids that way. We look at our kids like, no, this is my kid, right? You had one follower say something like, how can you love your husband more or prioritize your husband more when the kids are from you? They're part of you. Well, we believe that we're one. You know, when we got married, we were united, and we are a family. We are together. And so that's my perspective on how that might be possible intentionally for some people. Now, a lot of you might unintentionally put your kids before your spouse. You might unintentionally do that. And there might be a day where the kids are gone and you're going to realize that. And you're going to realize that you don't know your spouse because you've been prioritizing your kids over them for too long. And so with all of that said, Ariel, from your perspective, how do we focus on our marriage? Like, we have no family around. Most of our friends are young families as well, and they're maxed out. You know, how do we handle our health of our relationship and staying connected together?
I would say we have to get very creative. And one of the things that we have taught our kids that helps us is that they are very self-sufficient, and there is a lot that they can do on their own. And so if we need a moment to just talk or get alone, our kids can handle their lives and they don't have to be watched every single second. And they know like what to do and what not to do and how to obey. And so I think that's the first way that we get it, just in a day-to-day without like extra date nights or anything. Date nights are something that I love just because we get totally away, but we don't do it as much as we'd like to because we don't have support system. Really.
Yeah, I mean, I would say honestly, like probably 3 to 4 dates a year, like out of the house with a babysitter, right?
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes. I mean, it really depends. Sometimes more.
That might be like a decent average in there 4 times a year, once a quarter.
Every 3 months. It feels like not very much at all.
Yeah, we haven't been on a date in a long time outside of the house. And I say outside of the house because we date each other every week.
Yeah.
You know, we make time for each other. We are a priority for each other. We're best friends, and so we talk about stuff. And here's another thing, maybe a misconception about what it means to put your spouse as the second greatest priority in your life, is we don't talk about literally everything.
That's true, yes.
We don't
dump all the work things.
Right. People will come to Ariel from my job and ask her if she's talked to me about something, or if she's heard this thing, or if that's going on. And she's like, I don't know anything. Or like what I'm preaching Sunday, and she's like, I don't know. It's Wednesday. He hasn't talked to me about. I'll find out Sunday, and vice versa. You know, she's so busy with so many different avenues and ministering to people and serving people and Instagram and now YouTube and some other things. Like, we don't talk about every little detail of life, but I would say we know each other.
Yeah.
We can speak for each other.
Yeah.
We know what the other one would say and would want in a certain situation. I would also say that we don't make major decisions apart from each other. And I've always really appreciated Ariel's side of that in asking me things. And how has that made you feel over almost 12 and a half years of marriage from my end of coming to you for your thoughts on decisions and things like that?
Yeah, great. I feel valued. I feel validated. I feel that I'm worth being heard in our relationship, that my voice matters.
Yeah, just as much as mine.
Yeah.
You know, there has to be final decisions, but you know, nothing comes to mind that we've ever made a final decision that one of us has had to make a decision, which for us, that would be me. If we had some disagreement and we had to make a decision and we couldn't come to unity on that, that would fall on my shoulders, that weight. And I can't think of anything that has been there. And I'm really grateful for that.
I mean, usually it's like a battle back and forth of not battle between us, but of just figuring out that decision, and like we end up in the same place at the end.
Yeah.
It's just like
right.
But one thing I was gonna say that we also do is that when our kids, when it is bedtime, like they understand it's bedtime, and so then that we get that time at night. Like, we're taking that time right now to sit and chat with you, but that's something that they know and they understand, and they can't just keep getting up and coming out and interrupting that time that we have. So I would say that's another thing.
Yeah, and I think that gets back into something you were saying earlier about our kids. And, you know, we feel like our kids are very special and awesome. But with that being said, we also feel like they are that way because we have trained them to be that way. We have
perfect.
They're not, no, and we're not either.
Yeah.
We're a normal family just trying to do our best. But we have expectations, and we expect our kids to be mature and to grow. We don't baby our kids, and we never have, and we never will. And it goes to little things, and I think that this is maybe another video, we get into some parenting things, but one of the ways that we feel like you can focus on your marriage being parents is to be consistent with your kids, even when it's hard. There were a lot of nights. There's an age for us, it's usually 3 years old, where the kids don't want to go to sleep.
Nope.
And they have to get disciplined every single night for months, it seems like. Every night. It's like, and multiple times, it's like, son, what are you doing? I told you to be quiet. You're going to get in trouble again. It's consistency is so hard and so challenging. But I'm bringing up those parental things because when you start having kids, your kids can take over unintentionally. And you can want to put your spouse first, but if you begin to let them rule your life and control the situation and take over in an unhealthy way, because our kids absolutely get our attention. That's so important to both of us. They get our attention. We do things with our kids. We participate in life with them every day. They help us in ministry. We do ministry as a family together, and we do life together as a family. So one of the biggest consistent keys to how we keep our marriage fresh is that nighttime for us. That 1 to 2 hours where we just get to put our arms around each other and just sigh like, oh, we made it through another day. I'm so tired.
Watch something.
I love you. Put on a show and just be together. Just be together. Maybe we'll talk about what God's teaching us or something that happened during our day. But just being together is so important, and not letting the busyness of life, busyness of your jobs, busyness of your kids, busyness of your hobbies, busyness of your friendships outside of your family get in the way of the most important relationship that you have on this earth, if you're a Christian, next to God. Thanks for checking out this video. Again, if you would, give us a thumbs up. Really appreciate it. Subscribe. More videos are going to be following. Have a wonderful, wonderful week.